yourself. Keep that mic next to your mouth. There we go. We're coming up on LinkedIn. Everybody wave hello to LinkedIn. Wave hello to Facebook with both hands. I got 2 channels, and wave hello to YouTube. Come on there. There we go. Okay, I can see us. Okay, Jordan, send us the
Send
whatever.
the feed. Have a great show.
Thank you very much. Here we go.
Where does yesterday's future, which is already here, meet today's future, which is about to happen, and tomorrow's future, which could be just minutes away? Welcome to Technology Revolution, the future of now, where host Bonnie D. Graham asks savvy futurists for their predictions about the tech-driven trends that are shaping our future right now. Here's your host, who will take us into the future of now, Bonnie D. Graham.
Thank you, voice of voiceover. Bonnie D in the house. Happy to be here. We are live streaming. Panel, I haven't introduced you yet, but just wave hello officially to LinkedIn, to Facebook, to YouTube, and virtually to Voice America Business. Here we are. Technology Revolution, little show I started way back in, oh my goodness, 2011, and it was originally for SAP called Coffee Break with Game Changers. And we took a break from Coffee Break in 2019 and morphed it into Technology Revolution. And I'm grateful to my listeners and now my viewers since then who have stayed the course and keep following us and listening and watching. We have almost 200,000 of you around the world, and I'm very, very appreciative of that. So today, one of my favorite topics, I have 4, I can't say this because my other panelists would be very jealous, 4 of my favorite people who are on the show today. We're going to talk about the future of drones, but no, we're not going to do, we did a couple weeks ago, and it was very high level, very industry and very techy. We're going to talk about, is there a drone in your future? I've been posting, I hope, cute little diatribes and questions on LinkedIn saying, find out. It could be, it might be, it may be, it would be. Is there a drone in your future? At home, at work, at play, where? And I have 4 I love to call my guests futurists. I know this is not in everybody's job description, but officially, Martin Stenzig, Chris Holmes, Alex Bäcker, Chuck Byers, you're all futurists. Whether you knew it or not, you're officially Technology Revolution futurists. And you can say Bonnie D said so if you want to add that to your LinkedIn profile. So I have, as usual, a little opening poem that I co-wrote with ChatGPT. And yes, it has gotten faster, even though, opposite of what Dan Geller, and you all know who he is, tells us not to be so polite to AI. I still say, Chris, I still say please and thank you and ask it, her, it, if it's having a good day, and say good afternoon, good evening, and thank you so much. So I'm still being polite. The time for response has gone down from 3 seconds to a little over 2. So even though I'm still polite, it's gotten more efficient, I think. So here we go with the poem. When I call your name, just wave hello. Here we go. Upon the airwaves of tomorrow's expanse, where dreams meet drones in an AI dance, Bonnie D and her 4 futurist panelists take flight, exploring the future. We're bold and we're bright. Dr. Alex Bäcker, wave hello. He graces the stage with innovations that set the world ablaze. From QLess to Drisit, his vision is clear, bringing the joy of drone sharing near. Alex, I hope you like that. We need a smile, Alex. There we got that smile. Oh, you got to give me that smile. There we go. Chuck Byers, a tech maestro renowned, shaping the landscape where drones are crowned. Over 100, I gave you 400, 100 patents plus IoT and edge computing at his command. Chuck leads us forward with purpose so grand.
Nice.
Chuck, you like that? By the way, I'm renting out these poems for your own marketing team. So I'll tell you what the rate charge is later. Okay. Martin Stenzig, CTO extraordinaire in French, melds enterprise prowess with technological flair, guiding drones for business with his skills refined into a future where innovation shines. Martin,
Nice.
you
Very
like
nice.
that? See, I have to come up with a different one every time you're on the show. And Chris Holmes, with LIDAR's gaze, mapping the worlds in intricate ways, from mobile heights to digital skies, he charts the course where originality lies. Chris, what'd you think?
My goodness. Am I all that?
You are. According to me and ChatGPT, you are. So buckle up, dear audience, as we take flight on Technology Revolution Radio. The future is in sight. Our futurist predictions are sure to amaze, as into the sky they join me to gaze. What'd y'all think? Was that one of my better ones?
Very
Cool.
good. Very
Cool.
good.
Okay. I
Nice.
start out with an opening and then I feed your entire bios to ChatGPT. Everything you sent me, Martin, and Chris, and Alex, and Chuck. And I keep putting a dash and in caps and say, use this text. And then within that 2.2 seconds, it comes back with the core poem. And then I do my editing because it seems to like the word realm a lot. I don't know why. I take that out. And light and bright and sight come up too often. So I do a little editing. So thank you. I'm glad you all like that. So I'm now, since you've all been on the show several times, Chris, this is your second appearance. Alex is probably your fourth. Chuck, it's probably your 19th. And Martin, probably your 18th. So I ran the audienceometer and I found out that collectively there were only 16.9725 people in the world who don't remember any of you. I'm just so apologetic. I don't know what they were doing with their time, but clearly they weren't paying attention. So why don't we do a quick bio just to update everybody on who you are, why you're here, and what's your passion for what we're going to be talking about today, commercial and not commercial uses of drones that could be coming to our lives. Let's start out with Alex Bäcker. Alex, putting you on speaker view. Love the hat, by the way. Give us a 2-minute overview of who you are and what you do. Alex, welcome back.
Thank you, Bonnie. Thank you for having me. Alex Bäcker, born and raised in Argentina, moved to the US to go to MIT, moved to California to get a PhD at Caltech, and then became bitten by the California entrepreneurial bug, where I've been an inventor and entrepreneur ever since. I started a company called Inventio, the Invention Factory, to bring some of these inventions to life. And one of the daughters of this invention factory is Drisit, whose vision is to make global vision a reality, allow humans to have the magical power of telepresence and being able to see anywhere on Earth on demand. So that's me.
Thank you. Well, tell us a little bit about the book that you wrote too. I want to know about that.
Thank you. It's called 101 Clues to a Happy Life. And it's inspired by a trip that I've been planning and probably soon will do. And I wanted to make sure that my 3 children had the collective distillation of my wisdom in case I don't make it back. And so as my kids turned 18 and 21, I actually wrote it all up and said, hey, here's the collective wisdom that comes from my life so far, and distilled it into 101 Clues to a Happy Life, available at 101clues.com. Thank you.
Thank you. I read the book. It's delightful. It's insightful. It's very, very well done. Thank you, Alex. See, techie people have a heart too. There you go. There we go. Chuck Byers, I hope I didn't offend you because I only listed 100 patents in my poem. Only I said you had over 100. So can you bring us up to date? Where are you now? Have you topped 500 yet? 1,000 yet? Do you sleep? What do you have for breakfast? All of those questions. Thank you, Alex. We like the Drisit background. Chuck, I'm putting you on speaker view. Catch us up. What have you been up to?
Yeah, well, lots, Bonnie, and thanks again for inviting me. Always a hoot to come and talk to you and your interesting guests. My patent scorecard, for those who are keeping score, is 135 issued U.S. patents and about 20 or so still percolating through the federal bureaucracies. And about half a dozen of those, maybe a few more than that, are related to drone services and technologies. I got a master's degree in electrical engineering from Wisconsin. I taught computer control and instrumentation there for a few semesters. I worked at the famous Bell Laboratories, working my way up to the rank of Bell Labs Fellow, which is kind of as high as you can get unless you want to manage people in that place. I worked on lots of things that are probably in the cell phone in your pocket right now as a result of the work that I did at Bell Labs. Then I spent 10 years at Cisco working on media processing, analytics, Internet of Things, edge computing, and I did a bunch of interesting research related to drones. And seems a little weird that Cisco cares about drones, being that they're a networking company, but drones are really potent mechanisms to load up networks because the data that has to go back and forth between drones and their controllers and someday the AIs that are driving them is truly astounding in its magnitude and criticality. And that's, I think, why Cisco cares about it. And certainly that fruition has come to fruition. Right now, I serve as the Chief Technical Officer of the Industry IoT Consortium, which is associated with the Object Management Group of Consortia and the Digital Twin Consortium. And we really work on digital transformation, trustworthy Internet of Things, artificial intelligence everywhere, digital twins, which are an exciting technology for marrying simulation and networks, and a bunch of other stuff. I also served CTO of a startup company called Valkyrie, which works in the drone delivery space. So happy to be here and happy to share some insights. Thanks.
I always feel like I'm in a college course when I hear you speak. Fruition and criticality. I love your language. Chuck, 135 plus 25 percolating, and I think you mentioned another 50 or more. One question, do you sleep?
I do some of my best patent work when I'm sleeping. Seems like when I'm trying to fall asleep, some people count sheep. I count packets flowing through networks and stuff. That's where I get a lot of my inspiration.
That's good career advice to young people. On the way, before you start those sheep, do something with your brain besides that. 1, 2, 3. Thank you, Chuck. Martin Stenzig, delighted to have you back. I met you through my work with Rising and Wipro, doing a series recently, and you just keep coming back here to Technology Revolution, and we're absolutely delighted. So Martin, catch us up. What have you been up to?
Yeah, thanks for having me. So as a chief technology of Rising, what I'm usually dealing with is using latest and greatest technologies to apply it back to what is our core system, which is SAP. So it's one big business system, but we're also sort of tying that in with geospatial information. So if you're looking at that trifecta of geospatial information, IoT information, and then real business information, that's sort of where our forte is in order to bring that all together. And drones are the natural extension to that by feeding that trifecta with real life information and accounting for that. So that's sort of the passion that I have. We tie it all together with, yes, I have a pilot's license. Yes, I flew sort of RC planes in the past, way before we called it drones, and it got all exciting. So yeah, anything and everything that is flying, I'm very passionate about, and I seem to give that passion onto my kids as well, who are now totally excited about anything and everything in the sky, which it's an exciting fact. So yeah, thanks for having me, and looking forward to the discussion today.
Delighted. Did I miss that the last time you gave your bio that you have a pilot's license? I think you said that before. Details. Do you have your own plane, or do you fly?
No, unfortunately not. That is sort of the retirement plan, to have a bed and breakfast and a float plane for me to fly guests in and out, but we're not quite there yet. So
we need to get you together with Alex for Drisit, because you need a drone to go visit the turtles hatching on beaches where your bed and breakfast is. We have to make it together here. Thank you very much, Martin. Chris Holmes, so happy to have you back. I know you had a lot going on in your life and you weren't sure you could join us. We are honored that you were able to move your schedule around, and happy to have you, Mr. LIDAR. Chris Holmes, catch us up. Go ahead.
Well, I'm the director of LIDAR operations at Rising. My background is remote sensing, over 35 years of using aerial photography to service industries such as oil and gas, electric, transportation, environmental sciences. Again, starting out with aerial photography in stereo form to create these models and to collect the assets on the ground that the clients are requiring. Drones, I started seeing the value of drones and small project collection in about 2013, I think, and began using them, using software, as Chuck had mentioned earlier. So software, gathering large amounts of data, communicating from the controller to the drone. Sometimes wasn't a seamless or perfect acquisition. There were some days I'd go out, not sure I'd return with any useful data. That has come leaps and bounds. What interests me now in the AI world, we have to get on board because it's happening. And I've noticed that we've doing some test projects lately that the collection of the LIDAR data itself isn't the time-consuming part. It's the processing and then the feature extraction from those point clouds that we are gathering. And it used to be a ratio of about 5 to 1 for 1 hour of collection. It takes at least 5 hours of processing. And we've noticed that the AI world now, I'm working with some interesting softwares in development now that are almost cutting it down to about 2 to 1. So in the commercial world, which is where I mostly do my aerial work and feature extraction work, in the commercial world, time is money. So again, it's time to get on board. I always said that when I retire, I'm going to take my smartphone and see how many times I could skip it across the lake, right? But if that's the case, you might as well be a hermit living under a rock. If that's, we have to get on board.
Thank you, Chris. Very interesting what you said. It went from 5 hours down to 2 to 1, which is interesting because that's one of the benefits we've been told AI will bring to quote unquote busy work, to ordinary jobs, to repetitive tasks, and we can free up time. And the naysayers are ignoring that. It's not doing somebody out of a job. It's helping us enjoy our jobs more, learn more. Upskill is a new word, I understand, and just get things done faster. We're not going to talk about processing power and guardrails and all that today, but thank you very much. Thank you for the bios. I always learn something new about each of you when you come on the show, and I appreciate that. I tell you what, I'm going to do the opening quotes. You each sent me a new, fresh fictional quote or song lyric today, but let's keep it really, really tight because we want to get to the predictions. That's why everybody is tuning in. We got some people watching live today. Woohoo! You never know. So I think most of the people are thrilled that shows are live, but they do it on demand. They watch on demand later on. So we're being recorded for posterity. What can I tell you? So I'm going to read each of your quotes. We'll start again, Alex, and then Chuck, and then Martin, and then Chris, and just keep it really tight about how it relates to our topic, drones and AI. So Alex Bäcker sent a quote from a song by Sia, S-I-A. The song is Unstoppable from 2016, written by Sia and Christopher Braid, blah, blah, blah. It's described as a stomping, empowering jam, this is in quotes, and swollen self-esteem anthem of Sia. And here are the lyrics. You're all going to love this. I'm not going to sing, Alex. Don't even ask. I'm unstoppable. I'm a Porsche with no brakes. I'm invincible. Yeah, I win every single game. I'm so powerful. I don't need batteries to play. I'm so confident. Yeah, I'm unstoppable today. Unstoppable today. Unstoppable today. I'm unstoppable today. Alex, 2 minutes. What does this have to do with drones and AI for all of us? Go ahead.
Well, this, as you said, it's an anthem of self-confidence. It's relevant for everybody every day. It's just a great anthem to start the day with and remind ourselves of our power to do things. But then, drones are extremely powerful and they're able to do their job every single time in every single game. So they have no brakes. They need no brakes. I think it applies to them too, even though they do need batteries to play.
Thank you very much. Good. You're under your 2 minutes, so we can give a tiny bit to Chuck. Here we go. Chuck Byers sent us a line. We're doing songs today. Song by rock artist Bob Seger, Roll Me Away. It's on the album The Distance by Bob Seger, and we used to know the Silver Bullet Band used as his opening song on his Face the Promise tour way back in 2006, his first tour in a decade. It's another anthem song. How about that? Considered his best single. Here's the line, or here are the lyrics. Stood alone on a mountaintop, staring out at the Great Divide. I could go east, I could go west. It was all up to me to decide. Just then I saw a young hawk flying, and my soul began to rise. And pretty soon my heart was singing, roll, roll me away. Chuck, I hope I did that okay. What do you think?
Yeah, almost as good as Bob does. So
a new career.
Yeah, nice. So the reason I chose that one is I think that first of all, I really love the imagery of it. I could see Bob Seger standing on his bike, on the mountaintop, taking a little pause, looking around. I think we're in that mode right now for drones. We're sort of standing there looking around, trying to figure out where things are going to go. Should we turn east? Should we turn west? One way might be, a lot of paranoia and excessive regulation, and another way might be, full speed ahead with every possible commercial capability among drones. Of course, the right answer is probably somewhere between those extremes. I would like to see the society and regulatory environments expanding so that we can get some of these really interesting technological possibilities actually in the air. The other thing I kind of like is the imagery of the young hawk flying, and I have rather similar sort of guttural reactions when I see drones in the sky. It's like, oh, how cool is that? I wonder, I wonder how much energy he's carrying, and I wonder if there's any payload, and what's the resolution of his cameras. I care about all that stuff, kind of the same way you'd look at the pin feathers of a hawk that's flying overhead. So maybe that's just a geek in me, but I find the whole market fascinating. I find the technology amazing. I find the potential really, really exciting. Thanks.
I think there's a nature-loving poet somewhere in there, Mr. Byers, with 135, 165, 5,000 patents pending. Thank you very much. That was lovely. I just peeked ahead at Martin's and Chris's quotes, and they're from songs too. So today is Song Day on Technology. This is not planned, kids. This is just the way it happens. You all have the option of movie quotes. So Martin has sent I really don't want to sing this one, but I'm going to have to. The song is Danger Zone by Kenny Loggins. What a favorite. 1986. Music composed by Giorgio Moroder. Do you know he did the Donna Summer song? I think it was Love to Love Me Baby, one of those. And it was one of the hit singles from the soundtrack to the 1986 film Top Gun and the 2022 sequel, Top Gun Maverick, and the soundtrack. It was the best-selling soundtrack of 1986, one of the best-selling of all times, remains a quintessential artifact of the mid-1980s and still hits. It defines the bombastic, melodramatic sound that dominated the pop charts of the era. I thought we just liked our music. I won't sing it. Martin, ride into the danger zone. I love Kenny Loggins. Martin, 2 minutes, talk.
No, it's one of those songs that you can play, and I just feel somehow empowered, and it's probably because of the movie and the planes taking off. So that's one side. But I also picked it because, frankly, we're using drones and we can use drones today in order to mitigate the exposure that we're putting people on, whether it's confined space inspections or going close to power lines. So we don't have to fly helicopters anymore. We can get drones to do the same thing. So it all fit together. And I figured, given that I like the song anyways, might as well pick that.
Very nice. I'm sure the four of you didn't get together and say, we're all going to bring songs to Bonnie's show today. I just have a feeling this was just a lot of synchronicity, and I'm very happy about it. Chris Holmes has picked a line from the song Once in a Lifetime by the new wave band Talking Heads. I don't know how new wave they still are since the song was from 1981. It's been a couple of decades. Once in a Lifetime, produced and co-written by Brian Eno. Interestingly enough, David Byrne's vocals were inspired by preachers delivering sermons with lyrics addressing existential crisis and the unconscious. The music video, directed by Byrne and Tony Basil, has Byrne dancing erratically over footage of religious rituals. I didn't know that. It went gold in the UK in 2021, interestingly enough. And it's one of the 100 most important American musical works of the 20th century on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's 500 songs that shape rock and roll. Here are the lyrics Chris has picked. And you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here? And it could be, well, how did I get here? I'm not sure. Chris, which do you prefer? Go ahead, talk to me.
Well, the religious connotations aside, this song, every now and then you have a song that takes you back to an exact moment in time. You remember who you were with. This song happens to be one of them. But it's also a song that reminds me, I think on the last podcast I had mentioned that in my early days of stereo photogrammetry, I had turned to an old timer and I said, man, you look in this machine for 8 hours a day, there's got to be a better way. And he said, there's no replacing the human eye, Holmesy. There's no replacing the human eye. Well, now the human eye has been replaced to a certain degree. And every time AI and some of our testing that I'm doing with the local consultant here, and when I see the capability of AI, and you boiled me down to a poem that nails me to the T in what, 2.3 seconds? Did you say, right? Yes. With some minor editing. So how did we get here? And again, it's best to just get on board and work with it, because there's no turning back, and everything we do is going to be influenced by AI, whether we like it or not. So,
glad you liked the poem.
And how did we get here?
How did we get here? Indeed. How did we get here that I'm sitting here in my studio in Loudon, Tennessee, looking out of my beautiful garden with everything blooming, And I've got 3 screens in front of me, and I'm looking at Martin Stenzig, who's in a hotel room, and I can't tell because he's got his beautiful Wipro Rising background. I see Chuck with his board behind me. I wonder if I need an NDA to be able to look at all those charts behind him. Every time you're on, Chuck, I think, am I supposed to not take a picture of that? Alex, I love the book, and the Drisit logo is really empowering. And Chuck, Chris, every time you talk, I learned something about LIDAR, which I didn't know about until I met you. So how did I get here? How did I get to have a global audience and talk to really smart people every week of the year? How indeed did I get here? Chris, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Love the song lyrics, and let's move on. We have a lot to do. I've asked you each for a couple of commercial uses, meaning work, and then personal, private, everyday uses, meaning home and play. So I'm going to pick one commercial use from each of you. Let's do about a 2-minute round. Unless you have something really urgent and you wiggle one of your nice fingers at me, I'm just going to go prediction, prediction, prediction. Let's see how much we can cover, and then we'll do a round of the personal. Worst case, we'll have to have you all come back for part 9 of this show because we can't cover that much in the next 27 minutes. Okay, here we go. Alex Bäcker, commercial drone use number 1 prediction. Make it fast here. You say a new business you're predicting. With drones, tourist attractions will reach a global audience and achieve recurring revenues that are pandemic proof. Wow, you packed a lot into one line there, Dr. Bäcker. Go ahead, Alex, unpack for us, please.
The travel industry came to a screeching halt in the pandemic. Why? Because people couldn't travel, and because their revenues are directly tied to one-time revenues from trips that people take. So, stock prices plummeted, people are laid off, and it need not be so. Drones hold the ability for tourist attractions to reach a global audience rather than a local one. That's the first part. Think about a place like Stonehenge, world-class tourist attraction, incredible place, a place that one should visit not just once, but on specific times of years, during the solstice and so on, and the times when it was used as a place to celebrate the sun. And yet it was unfortunately Asterisk and Obelisk cousins who placed it, did not plan for the airports to come. And it's not really close to any major city or airport. So it's kind of a drives away. Drones allow, in principle, the power for people all over the world to visit this anytime and visit it during the most meaningful times of the year too. So that's the first part, is bringing a local attraction to a global audience. Second part is that it's pandemic proof. You can do this, even if you're stuck at home. Because of that, it can also, it's independent of the one-time event of a travel. So it can set up recurring revenue streams for these attractions. And it can do that for any attraction, even if you happen, so you have this beautiful blooming garden right now, and you want to let people, you can want to show that off. You can reach a global audience for people who like to see what your blooming garden looks like.
Thank you very much. That's interesting. I just dropped that in there and you made me very proud there. So I appreciate that. Okay, Martin. I'm sorry. Who's next? Chuck is next. I'm sorry. I was jumping ahead here. Chuck, I'm going to your prediction number 2 on the commercial side. You say in 10 years, that's not that far off. Flip, we're almost there. Delivery drones over your head will be more common than Amazon, UPS, FedEx trucks on your street. Oh my, should we duck and take cover? Chuck, talk to us.
I don't think you have to duck and take cover any more than you have to dodge out of the way of one of those damn DoorDash drivers coming by. But the answer is I stand by this prediction because I've looked at the economics of what drones can do, and it turns out they can deliver around 70% of the packages that come out of those back of those Amazon trucks. There's always going to be something that's too heavy or too bulky, or, you bought, a 10-pack of fluffy pillows, that's probably not a thing a drone's likely to bring, even if it was inside of its mass. But if you take a look at the stuff that I always buy, little electronic parts, the new charger for my iPhone, that kind of stuff, the system is going to be able to deliver that by drone much, much more efficiently than any road-based diesel truck could. It will be a fully electric fleet. It will likely be powered by renewable energy. And the big advantage from a commercial perspective is you can go from the warehouse or the restaurant or the pharmacy or the big box retailer, who's ever the source of the goods, to your house in about 15 minutes. I mean, you could actually try on shoes about the same speed as you could if you were, sitting there waiting for the dude to go in the back and fetch a different size. You could have a drone run back to a warehouse, the automated stuff in the warehouse based on AI, flip a size 8 instead of a size 9 in, send that out and have that on your foot. And, depending upon how many flight minutes you are away from the warehouse, in just a couple of minutes round trip turn. And you could very reasonably in a shopping session on your front porch, try on half a dozen styles of shoes in 3 or 4 sizes, and all the ones you didn't buy, the drone will take back and restock in the warehouse, and it won't care. That's an example of a scenario that you will see, and you'll think about how many drone sorties are involved in showing you your styles and your sizes. That's an example. Another example would be fast food. Guys, you've been to Chick-fil-A lately? Notice how long the delivery or the takeout lines are there in the drive-thrus. That's not as efficient as we would like to have 14 gas-guzzling SUVs idling there while we're waiting for, you to come around to the order blank and Chick-fil-A to fill your baggie up. If a drone could take off from a little platform right above that reach-through carry-out window, haul it 30 seconds or 10 minutes to your destination, drop it off. I think that's an example of dozens of averted trips for the price of drone. And I think that's going to happen.
Chuck, the only problem is I really like seeing my very cute UPS delivery guy who wears shorts no matter what the weather is here. And I'd rather he bring me the shoes and put them on my feet. Because that would really make my day. I'm sorry.
There will be the special checkbox, it's like
Bonnie, drone pilots are cute too.
Yeah. Drone pilots are cute too. Okay. Well, send me a drone pilot to bring me more drummer boots. I have cute little brocade and red velvet drummer boots I wear. There you go. Wear them in the supermarket too. People call me, hello, red boots. Anyway, that's not all they call me. Let's move on. Thank you. Chuck, I loved what you said. Martin Stenzig, let's go to your commercial drone prediction number 2. We're going to get very serious now. And in this climate, we need to. You say we can do utility post-storm assessments using drones. We'll be able to do these 5 years from now. Storm hits, fly a drone over my set of installed power lines, analyze the result data, and feed damages directly into GIS. I'm going to stop there. Martin, unpack this a little more for us. Sounds very interesting.
Yeah, before we go there, Chuck, I promise to be your benchmarking customer because I'm one hill ridge away from the Amazon warehouse. So let's see how quickly they're sort of switching over. But yeah, back to the prediction. All of that technology pretty much exists today. We're just lacking the thought leadership in the industry to push it forward. But the idea is very simple. At the moment, what happens if a storm hits? Bad or even not so bad storm, you have power lines down, you have trees in the street, and at the moment utility inspectors need to run out and figure out what's actually really broken and how much manpower do they need to bring to bear in order to rectify the situation. What if, and there's really nothing stopping us from doing that today, what if we can just fly a drone across the installed base of your power lines, assess where the asset was, which we already know, so we can go to a particular location, compare how does it look like right now with what was it before, and based on image recognition, LIDAR analysis, all the things that we're doing pretty much in AI today, assess right away what is the damage, and then really drive the labor assignment to say, okay, this is really a big problem because it's a transmission line. It affects 10,000 people versus, there's a tree down here and 3 people are out. And all of that assessment is the first step of doing the right response and sort of solving the big problems first versus the small problems. But yeah, the great news is, and so 5 years is really very conservative. There's nothing in that model that we couldn't do today, no. But it's always coming back to one thing I feel like I'm preaching is, we're building business cases today that we could have executed in 1990. Our leadership groups need to get better at sort of aiming high or aiming in front of the target to say, okay, when I actually get the budget for this project, what should I be executing? And it shouldn't be the old solution that we could have done 20 years ago, because you're missing out on efficiency gains that you potentially have. So that's sort of my point.
Thank you very much. Very interesting. I'm thinking of the earthquake, in quotes, the 4.8 that hit in the New York, New Jersey area and reached as far north as Boston and all kinds of places. And I remember it called to mind several years ago. It might have been 2 decades ago when I was living in Great Neck on Long Island, New York, on the North Shore. We had a microburst. Nobody expected it. It was the equivalent of a 6-minute tornado, I believe. I don't think we had a warning. I don't think anybody understood what happened. It blew through town. It blew trees down, mature trees, onto roofs, crashed through roofs of houses in the north part of the village where I lived. I remember my apartment shook. I was broadcasting radio, I think my early days, and my desk tilted, the floor tilted. I held on. It was a 6-minute run through town and run back out. It was like a delivery to the wrong house, you know. And all of a sudden we said, what the blank just happened? It would have been interesting to have some kind of a drone assessment of that. And I will tell you all that on Eclipse Day, Monday, April 8th, this week, I happened to watch Jimmy Fallon on The Tonight Show. Everybody else was doing a replay. And part of his monologue, when he finally got into the studio, I missed the opening part. He said, well, last week in New York, everybody asked, did you feel it? Meaning the earthquake. Today, everybody asked, meaning the eclipse, did you see it? And he said, in most days in New York, everybody asks, did you sit in it? And my version is, did you step in it? But we'll leave that one alone. I thought that was a great opening line. Thank you very much, Chris. We're going to your commercial prediction here. Interesting. You say most U.S. drone manufacturers will enter the market as U.S. federal agencies begin to limit the commercial use of drones from countries that are not on the, quote, blue UAS approved drone manufacturers list. Chris, please unpack this because I don't know what this is. Go ahead.
Well, Chuck had mentioned a little earlier, there is some regulatory requirements. In the U.S., me being, commercial drone usage being part of my livelihood, my concern is in the transportation environment, for example, most projects, most redesign or even milling and realignment and repair of highways is federally funded. The U.S. has a new rule now that says that any federally funded projects cannot be undertaken by offshore. And I don't want to mention names, but one particular offshore drone manufacturer has almost cornered the market. But those drones are not allowed to be used now in any federally funded projects. I have an associate of mine who has quite the fleet of foreign-made drones doing LIDAR, aerial magnetometry, finding old abandoned gas wells and things, and he has to replace his whole fleet, or at least buy at least 2 new drones to service his transportation clients and a lot of environmental projects. So there is it paranoia? I don't know, but it is the requirements now. So there hasn't been a whole lot of American manufactured drones that are capable of with the capabilities that some unnamed foreign drone manufacturers are able to do. And the drones that are available cost 4 to 5 times more than the offshore units.
Thank you very much. Very interesting commercial applications. Appreciated that. I've picked one personal, meaning home or play use, and put it into the chat. Alex, I just changed the one I picked for you. I just changed my mind. So we're going to a different one. So Alex, let's start with you. This is your #1 personal drone use. Alex says, travelers and influencers can take their followers with them with a drone, a Drisit controlled drone. Of course, this is your company, but let's just talk about influencers not having to just post videos they already recorded. You're talking about doing this live. So let's focus on influencers. Alex, 2 minutes, go.
Well, we live in an era in which more and more people are taking to the digital nomad lifestyle and traveling the world. And in an era where advertising and influence is now distributed across these influencers who are constantly looking for new ways to engage their audiences in a more engaging way than just posting another video, another photo. And so technology like Drisit empowers these influencers, travelers, to allow their followers to travel along with them and actually control a drone in real time wherever the drone and the influencer are, and have a look at the area, have a look at the influencer for different points. Really come along. This can be also used for families to take grandparents along who may not be able to come on the trip. So it's a way to really expand, and not to mention, of course, handicapped people or people with some sort of disability that doesn't make it easy for them to travel.
Thank you. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. Chuck, I noticed you nodding furiously. Anything you want to say about that quickly?
Oh, it's absolutely true. We've got to figure out all of the technological details of this in order to enable the problem, avoid the problems that are potentially there. But once we do, then those benefits, I think, are really large and will be obvious. Thanks.
Interesting. I want to tell all of you that on my Monday night show, Read My Lips, Cool Conversations with Creatives, I do celebrity birthdays. But part of what I do is I find one influencer on YouTube, one on Instagram, one on TikTok, who are having birthdays on that particular day. And I only pick people who've got at least 1 million followers, subscribers, fans, whatever. But recently I've been finding young people between, let's say, 18 and 32. I can still call those young people. Thank you very much. Okay, no comments, Martin. I know what you want to say. And I found one they're posting comedic videos, they're posting travel videos, they're posting modeling videos, dance videos, lip sync videos. And I found one who just has only 17 million followers. But one of his videos, this is interesting, Alex. One of his videos, I think it was a travel video, had 375 million views. One video. So if they could do this through a drone, can you imagine how you could change the influencer space if they could say, I'm Chucky, Redbone steak person, and I'm going to go follow the beef in the African something or other. We're going to go find out. Oh, this is gross. Never mind. Anyway, I'm going to go follow something and show you XYZ. Follow along with my drone. Can you imagine how that would change the space, change the following, change how people spend their time? Interesting. Alex, that's a whole big topic for another show. And you know what I'm going to say? You're coming back. Let's go to Chuck. This is interesting. Chuck says, in 10 years, your house may have special drone support capabilities like delivery hatches. That takes new meaning to the words, batten down the hatch, drone garages, landing lights, and charging systems built into your roof, sensors, cameras, radios to help support large drone fleets. My house with a large drone fleet? Chuck, tell me this is not true. Go ahead.
No, it's true. It's true. But it's not that your house is necessarily supporting the whole fleet. It's providing an endpoint for the deliveries that are coming in and the stuff that's being taken away from your house. And it might be something that looks like a skylight, in your kitchen ceiling that pops open and the drone can cable a thing in and out of that. It might be a specialized mailbox. So instead of your mailbox being just a thing with a flag and a front door on it, it might have a little landing perch, and the drone will come down and sit on that. And then there might be a secure place where a modest to marginally sized package can sit there and wait for you to come home. In fact, we've talked about heating and cooling of these sorts of delivery systems. So you can have, on your way home from work, you grab your app and you order beer and pizza, and the beer comes in and gets dropped in a secure cooled storage locker, and then the pizza comes in a minute later and gets stuck in the hot storage locker. And you come back and you enter your PIN into those lockers. It knows you're over 21, so it'll give you the beer and the pizza, and you can take it into the kitchen and chew it up. Eventually, it's possible that you will have a distributed charging capability. So if all the drones are flying around and a few of them are running out of battery, they may actually land on a little thing, maybe on your back deck, maybe off a windowsill, where they can grab a quick charge. Almost like the charging infrastructure that's being put in truck stops and restaurants and waysides for electric vehicles. We'll see smaller versions of similar technologies that are available for drones as they run on their extended missions, and will find lots of different places to charge them. You will be compensated. If you provide a small amount of electricity and a little couple of square feet of roof space for that, every time a drone drops down and pays $5 to get charged up, you may see $1 of that. And you'll want that cash, right? Because that's going to happen a few times a day, and it'll defer your rent or your property taxes or whatever. I think it's inevitable.
I want a drone to stop the neighbor who keeps stealing seeds out of my hibiscus trees when they're in full bloom, who comes by and my blink cameras aren't far enough out on the street. I want somebody to just tap her hand and say, Cynthia, put that back. That belongs to Bonnie. Sorry, go buy your own tree. Oh, yeah, you have no idea. Thank you very much, Chuck. Interesting. Let's go to Martin. Prediction. This is interesting. We're getting really down to practical life here. Martin says, a dog tether from a drone. We have a place, we're getting personal here. Martin says, we have a place in the mountains and sometimes the dog takes a walk. My vision would be to have a drone watch the dog while he is making his rounds through the neighborhood. Tell us a little more about the details of what you want to see and what you want to do at that point. Martin, go.
Yeah, and it goes back to the scenario that I think Alex referred to in our last call, having a personal assistant or personal bodyguard. I need that, frankly, for my dog, because it never fails. It's 2:00 in the morning. Your dog wants to go outside, and rather than just doing his thing, coming back inside, he inadvertently realizes that, Jody, the Labrador down the road, hasn't been visited for a few days. So it's 2:00 in the morning, dog doesn't come back, and you're sitting there. I was like, great, now I need to put my shoes on, my pants on, and try to figure out where the dog is in order to incentivize it to come back home. Yeah. So what I need, frankly, is the same thing that Alex was talking about. Let me just let the drone watch the dog, so at least I know which direction to run. On a 5-acre property, you can go into a lot of corners in order to try to find the dog. And especially at 2:00 in the morning when it's raining outside, you don't want to walk all the way around in order to try to figure out and whistle. And the dog just looks at you. It's like, yeah, I heard you. It's perfectly fine, but I don't really feel like coming back right now. So yeah. Real application, total benefit, because trust me, at 2:00 in the morning, the last thing you want to do is sort of go outside and try to find your dog.
Martin, the reason I'm laughing is great appreciation for what you said. I have 2 grandpuppies, but they're not allowed to wander on their own. However, you said first you'd put on your shoes and then your pants, and I think we'd rather you do it in the other order. I'm sorry, Martin. I'm very appreciative. I pay attention to details on these shows. That's a fascinating idea. I wonder if it would work for cats and for birds. Well, not for birds. Well, you know what? Maybe for birds that fly the coop. Interesting. We'll have to do another show on that. Chris Holmes, I'm looking at your personal prediction number 1. You're getting into the demographics, if you will. Here you say personal drone operator regulations and federal control will need to increase as the global personal drone market is expected to grow at a compound annual rate of 14% from 2023 to 2030. More drones in the air requires advanced levels of control. Interesting, Chris. Tell us, who are going to be this 14%? Is it going to be all of us here? Well, Alex probably has 10 drones already. Am I going to have my own drone? Will they be regulating it? Talk to me, Chris.
Well, what's interesting, I have a brother who's 69 years old, and just a few months ago, he said, hey, if I wanted a drone, what would I do? And he's a photographer, a nature photographer. And I said, well, I gave him some ideas on entry level. And just about 3 weeks ago, he sends me a video of the drone following him along. This drone is capable of following the controller, so to speak. And he's following along through an old farm that we inherited years ago. and they're stalking trout down at the bottom of the stream. So he has about a 25-minute video of this drone following him along. It's about 75 feet in the air, and for my brother, who refused to ever get a cell phone, for him to have a drone, and he says he's enjoying the heck out of it. I just bought 4 extra batteries, and he's sending me these videos and still shots. For my brother to have a personal drone, it says to me that everybody's going to have one. And those statistics that I gave you about growth, they came from a website that I found. But my concern is, if Chuck's prediction is correct, I can't imagine incident-free drone skies when the Amazon truck comes down my street every day, and he stops at least 5 times from the 2 blocks that I can see. So imagine how many drones it's going to take to fulfill these requirements. I'm not, and I use them commercially. I use them personally. Won't it become, and I hate to be negative here, but won't it become an eyesore for certain people?
It might.
And won't there? I was on a short plane ride here not long ago from where was I coming from? Montreal to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And as we were coming in, I saw I'm normally an aisle man, but I was sitting at the window, forced to sit at the window, and I see a drone about, I don't know, it's hard to predict, but about 100 feet below us. And it was a small little, with a plastic-bodied X-shaped with a little red stripe on it. And I saw that thing. It just caught out of the corner of my eye. So as we landed, I asked the young pilot if he saw that drone, and he said no. And he couldn't understand what my motivation was. So anyway, as I'm on, coincidentally, he's going to the same restroom at the Pittsburgh airport as I am. And he said, "Hey, excuse me." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Did you really see a drone below us?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Thank you." So the traffic, the air traffic, there's going to be incidents. I just hate to be negative, but there's got to be incidents.
I have 2 minutes left. Thank you, Chris. I want to sneak in here before I do my quick closing. We've got 2 minutes left. Thank you very much. Alex, 30 seconds. Make your comment to Chris. Go ahead.
My first thought years ago before the pandemic was the same you had, Chris. There's going to be billions of drones out there because every person needs multiple drones out there in order to monitor, their dog and their daughter and their home and so on. But the solution to that is sharing of drones. We can share drones, and then that dramatically reduces the number of drones needed. And I think that's the solution to that issue.
Yeah.
Thank you. Drone sharing. I want to sneak in 2 of Chuck's, and Chuck, you'll get 30 seconds to respond. I got to close. Chuck says it's going to make you all feel better. AI-based collision avoidance for drones will be so good that it will be impossible to crash a drone even on purpose. Number 1. Number 2, he says fast racing drones will have a top speed over 250 miles an hour. Martin likes this 400 kph. They're already faster than Formula One cars. So 30 seconds, Chuck, go. You're the last one.
Excellent. Well, it's all about AI, and AI is making things smarter. And really, a drone can be smarter than most human pilots if it's got the right sensors and the right processors. And I think that we'll get to the point where we'll be able to trust them and trust the AI that drives them. And you're going to be given higher level commands like, fly out and show me a picture of the park from 200 feet and come back. That's all you got to do, and it'll take care of everything else for you. Like an autopilot, like an auto drive on a car. The second thing.
Gotta go. Everybody raise your finger. We're going to say no, no, no on the count of 3. We'll come back and do more of these. I love this show. If you want to come back, I'll send you a date for part 9, whatever we're doing. On the count of 3, join me in no, no, no. People say the future is already here, and our answer is 1, 2, 3. No. Alex, I can't hear you. No. That's because that was yesterday's future and the future before I was thinking of that sentence, and now it's in the past. We're all going to make it a better, more interesting, and not quite drone crowded sky future. Bonnie D signing off. Everybody don't go away. Thank you to my engineer, Jordan. Jordan, are we out?
All clear. Great show.